ready. Welcome to everybody. Thanks for joining us. This is our first masterclass and hopefully many more, depending on how successful we can be with our technology. We have a big group, so be patient with us if we have any little glitches. Hopefully not. Most of you know us, but I'll just briefly report that we plant fruit trees, especially breadfruit, in over 20 countries. The idea is we want to see food security, and we want to see profitable businesses so that the business, the nutritional benefits, the food benefits, the environmental benefits will continue long after we have passed on. And so that's one of the benefits of planting fruit trees. The benefits continue for decades, if not centuries. So we're going to introduce Andrina Valcent from St. Lucia in just a minute. Just some quick housekeeping. Mary will lead us off. Mary's already kind of led us off a little bit. We'll show you a short video. It's only 3 or 4 minutes. Many of you have already seen this video, but just in case, we'll get everybody up to speed so you'll know who Andrina is. You'll hear a little bit from her. Then we'll go into an interview format. So I'll ask Andrina a few questions. She'll respond. Everybody will be on mute when we start out. If you do want to talk, you can send a question through the chat room, or you can unmute yourself. But what we're going to do is save the verbal questions for the second half. So we'll do about maybe 20, 30 minutes with Andrina. Then we'll give everybody a chance to ask questions, as many as possible. I'm going to start out with a short video. Again, some of you have seen this, but then we'll ask Mary to give us a quick intro and then hand off to Andrina. So what I'm going to do here, if I can get this to work.
Hello, my name is Andrina Valcent. I am a chef by trade with over 20 years of experience in the kitchen. I am the proud owner of Andrina's Agro Farm located in Makewood, St. Lucia. We specialize in small-scale agro-processing, creating plant-based gluten-free products using locally sourced ground provision, including breadfruit and herbal teas from our local bush and plants. We use locally sourced breadfruit along with other ground provisions to create gluten-free flours. The process involves carefully drying and grinding these ingredients into flour that can be used for baking or cooking. Our breadfruit flour is multi-purpose, healthy, and a great alternative for traditional flours. One of our best sellers is our breadfruit waffles, which are made with the plant-based ingredients and gluten-free flour. They are easy to prepare, healthy, and a tasty breakfast or snack options for those who want a quick but nutritious meal, as well as those who are experiencing celiac diseases. Breadfruit fritters, fish cake, or aqua, as we call it traditionally, are made with a delicious gluten-free dry mix that combines with the breadfruit flour and other local ingredients such as our local seasonings, dehydrated seasoning. These mixes are easy to prepare and offer a tasty, healthy alternative to regular fish cakes with a unique twist that showcases the goodness of breadfruit. At Andrina's Kitchen, we also bake gluten-free bread, cookies, tortilla shells, etc., offering a healthy and delicious alternative for those who want to avoid consuming gluten or who is unable to consume gluten. Our bread is a blend of flours, locally grown flours, and it can be used for whatever you feel to eat your bread with. For example, sausage, eggs, you name it. We sell our products directly to health-conscious individuals. Helen's Daughters Farmers Market, which we are a member of, and small supermarkets. We have intention of selling to the hotels and restaurants. We participate in trade shows and expos locally and use various social media platforms. to connect directly with the customers. Our commitments to quality and sustainability ensures that customers enjoy great tasting products while supporting local agriculture. We are proud to make healthy eating accessible to everyone. At Andrina's Kitchen Agro Farm, we're passionate about promoting healthy, sustainable eating habits. We believe that good food can transform lives, and with every product, we aim to provide a nutritious and delicious option while supporting our local community and environments. Together, we can make healthier choices for a better future.
Difficulties. Mary, over to you.
Okay, very good. This is our first ever masterclass, and we thought if we had people who were doing excellent work with breadfruit and making money with breadfruit, why not have them tell their personal story to a larger audience? Others could follow. It's an easy way to get information out, positive information, good information of people who are turning the trees that we've been planting for so many years into helping to improve their financial situation. And this is what we want to do. We already have about 10 different people who are doing this across the world. And we would like to, if this is successful and if we get enough audience participation, we would like to do this regularly so we can learn from each other and we can all be successful. We're conscious that we don't want to create competition because we know people need to be successful. But we think this is a wonderful opportunity. Instead of working in your own corner, in your own silo, why not share your good news? This will help everybody. So let's get started. I will hand it over. Andrina, turn on your mic. You're muted. So turn that on, and then we're going to do a format where Mike and Andrina will talk.
So, Andrina.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You're the star of the show, Andrina, so you can introduce yourself further if you'd like. In fact, why don't you start by telling us, a little bit about your background, what gave you the idea to start the business?
Well, the idea started, first and foremost, I love breadfruit. From a child, I enjoy eating breadfruit in any way or form it is prepared. But in 2022, I returned home from my job due to a surgery, and there was nothing to do. So I was like, okay, kind of boring. And then being that I was prepared to do something at home, like plant-based, and do my backyard garden, so I can have, in other words, say my grocery store in my backyard. So there was plenty 2 trees of breadfruit, and there were plenty of breadfruit wasting and spoiling, and the road was a mess. So I had a small dehydrator. I decided to put them to dry. And then after I had a plantain, I put it to dry. And a friend of mine visited from Canada. She came along with a couple friend of hers. And that time I had the seasoning peppers and herbs, quite a bit of products. I had them to dry because I had nothing to do. And the plantain, one plantain, I said, let me wait, and the cost I buy it, let me see how it will work. And my daughter did that costing on it for me. So the one plantain cost me $50. Then it only gave me 2 kilos of flour. So the flour was on the table along with the other things I dried. So when my friend came in, her friend followed her, they came in, and then she said, what is that? I said, flour, plantain flour. She said, oh, are you selling it? I said, yes. And then that was it. That same night, I made $320 from the seasoning pepper, the herbs, the flour, and yeah, it was good. It motivated me to continue not letting the flour and the breadfruit to spoil, but make the flour. And from there, I started making waffles with the flour, because you cannot have flour not knowing what to do with it. And the flour was good, the waffle was good, and then that was it. That's how I began. That's how it all started.
So tell me, this might be an obvious question. Why do you want to work with flour? Why do you want to dry the fruit?
Because during the COVID session, I am a Seventh-day Adventist. And during the COVID session, I was inside. Well, after when I work, I spend my spare time inside in my room. And then um, an organization in Trinidad, they had a train online for food, like to preserve food and how to save food from the future, stuff like that. So then I did a course. We did a program to dry the food and preserve them in all way and form. That is why I bought a dehydrator. So I said I can do that at home. But with that knowledge of preserving the food and how the food and the food system I have seen it has been contaminated in somehow. So I say, okay, let me go that way, that route.
That's one of the things that we talk about. There's so much fruit that wastes when you're processing, when you're preserving, when you're drying it and making flour. You're actually increasing the food supply without taking food away from anybody because that's fruit that otherwise would waste. So I think that sounds like a good good way to increase food security. What's your most successful product? What do people like the best?
Sorry, repeat your question.
What is your most successful product of all the things that you make?
Well, the waffles, the fish cake. Yeah, those two, the waffle and the fish cake.
And who are the customers? Who do you sell to?
Well, we post on the social media platform. We sell to the at the farmers markets, and like once a month. It started once a month, and then the demand increases, and there's a supermarket. Like we went to trade shows and expos, and then the demand keep increasing. So, and the other thing again, most important again, most people they kind of health conscious right now to eat healthy food. Knowing what you eat.
Well, I agree with that. I mean, there's a lot of talk in the States here about processed foods. You buy food in the supermarket and it's very nicely packaged and it's very tasty. A lot of sugar, a lot of salt, a lot of fats, a lot of preservatives, a lot of ingredients, and it's very tasty and it's very appealing to a lot of people. But is that the best food that you can get? And to me, something about the fruit that we preserve, like your plantain or breadfruit, of course, one of our favorites. There's no preservatives added. If it's dried, that's one of the other things. It has a long
True.
shelf life. It's not going to go bad. You don't have to add preservatives. So that's really a good answer, I think. As you built your business, what were some of the problems that you faced? What were some of the challenges? How did you overcome those challenges?
Well, the challenges are still there. And one of the problem, the very first time, the breadfruit is seasonal. And when there was a time that I did not have enough breadfruit to supply my waffles. So then I start saving more bread, like sourcing the breadfruit, dry it and put it in the bag. Just label them, put it there. So from that time, for breadfruit, I kind of not lack of breadfruit. And I have 2 trees in the yard, plus I get in the forest. And but my father, everybody, my sister, when they bring some for me, a bag or however. So I always have enough. Well, right now it's just going back into season, and I'm almost running out. Yeah.
So, do you know how much breadfruit, like how many fruit or how many pounds you process in a year? So, like, and can you buy a lot of breadfruit when it's abundant, process it, and then you have enough flour? to make your products all year long?
Well, that is my goal. But at the moment, the production space is very challenging for me because there are times I have to dry the breadfruit halfway, or sometimes I have to use a neighbor's dehydrator so it don't spoil on me because I do get a lot of breadfruit. So my aim now is a production space, and there are a few supermarkets who have interest in the products, but I cannot respond to them because especially Massy. Massy is a wide chain of supermarkets. So if I said yes to them, they will, let's say they want waffles or the flour for 10 supermarkets. I cannot do that. So that is one of my goals, is to get before I respond to them, get a production space. Then I can pay one or two persons, employ one or two persons to make sure when the breadfruit is season, like the same way people passing around and buy breadfruit to export out of St. Lucia, I can do the same, and I know where they are located. I can, hello, I want 5 bags of breadfruit, I want 10 bags of breadfruit, and I pay 3 persons or 4 persons. That's your job. Fill the breadfruit, put in a dehydrator. But I need more dehydrators to do so. So that is one of the goals I am looking in. I am what I'm looking into, so I can have enough to supply for the demands, and I don't run out of breadfruit at all.
So what is holding you back? Is it production space? Is it equipment? Or is it the supply of fruit? What would prevent you from expanding?
It's a combination. One is the production space. That's the lead goal. Two, the machine, the machinery, so to speak. Because, for example, I'm working, and if I have to, I have to be present. Let's say I have some solar dryers, but I have to be home, you know, to be watching, to make sure it is taken care of if there, in case there rain, because we have a tropical weather here in the Caribbean. But when I have the small dehydrator I have, when I put it there, it'll be 24 hours. I go, when I come back, it's dried. When I'm home, I use the solar dryer as well, like a combination of both. So yeah.
So are you using that small dehydrator? We call it dehydrate. Is that helpful to you?
It is helpful, but as I was saying, I have to be home to make sure to monitor it, especially for the rain, because
That's
it works very, very well. It works very well because I'm using it when I shred the breadfruit fine, and I put the sun is very hot. In a day, it will dry. But to have enough moisture, all the moisture out of it, if I am not home, I'll put it in the dehydrator and I go to work. When I come back, it's ready. But it works very well. It helps. It's very helpful. But the problem, I have to be home.
very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your recipes. I know my wife is dying to ask, how do you get the bread fluffy? Because breadfruit flour is gluten-free, so it's harder to make light, fluffy cakes and breads. So you don't
Yeah.
have to share any trade secrets, but we're very curious how you get your recipes to work.
Well, it was how will I say? You have to be persistent. You have to be patient. You have to be willing and ready to lose some products like waste. So that's what happened to me. Now, gluten-free flour, there's no gluten, so there's no elasticity inside of it, and it's very heavy. It requires more water. These are something that we need to know. It requires more water, and the xanthan gum helps to replace the gluten. Also, the psyllium husk it helps with the gluten as well. It replaces it. But both of them do the same work, but the psyllium husk, it's also a laxative. So you have to know the ratio, like 1 teaspoon for 1 cup. You cannot put, let's say, 1 cup psyllium husk and 1 cup of flour. That will send to the toilet every minute. Yeah. So you have to balance it. And what's another thing again? I use gluten-free baking powder. I use that thing, apple sauce. I don't use apple sauce because apple sauce is imported. I don't use nothing imported in terms of the fruits. But apple sauce does work for those who do not have access to some other thing. But the leavening agent is the apple sauce, apple cider vinegar, um, xanthan gum, psyllium husk. So and the flaxseed as well. It works a little, but more into like the egg. I replace it with the eggs if I have to make the waffles. Yeah.
Did you do any like focus groups or testing with customers? Have you talked to customers and gotten their advice as to how the products taste? Is that feedback helpful to you?
Yeah, I do get feedbacks on it. I do get feedbacks on it. At the expo, we make tests. We do small portions for testing, and we sometimes even those who buy the bread, sometimes they will respond. They will give a review. They will call and say how it was. And another thing I do with the bread, I add and again another secret, not secret, but another thing to the bread. You cannot use breadfruit alone. You have to use the cornstarch to make a blend. Not cornstarch, corn flour and rice flour. Now to give it more nutrients, I will use the quinoa flour, almond flour. Make a combination, make a different flavors to get a. So I'll have breadfruit coconut, breadfruit quinoa, breadfruit lentils, but it's the base flour is breadfruit. Because if you go on the supermarket, you will get gluten-free flour, but it's a combination of another stuff flour. But my flour is the base, the breadfruit. That's what you want to promote. That's what I want to use. So if I do not have, I cannot afford to buy a almond flour. I have the breadfruit flour, and I'll make the cornstarch. Rice flour is important. If I don't have rice flour, I'll blend the rice, make flour.
From what I've read, a lot of nut-based flours, like almond flour you mentioned, are not very environmentally friendly. It's a very expensive production process. It uses lots and
Yeah,
lots of water. Breadfruit doesn't do that. And then breadfruit, tell me if you agree, but I think the flavor of the flour it's not too strong. It's a delicate flavor, but people like it. It's delicious.
yeah, people like it. Yeah, it is true because but the you don't to avoid using for example coconut. I don't really buy the milk when I do the waffles. Either I buy a coconut flour from our local coconut flour in St. Lucia, or when I make the milk out of the coconut, I will make some flour with it to do the blend, you know.
Right.
So like nothing going to waste.
Right. I'd like to go into some of the business aspects now. And so tell us a little bit about how you keep track of your business. So you have to keep track of your revenue, right? How much money you're making, how much your expenses are, so that you can tell how much profit you're making, right? Because your business won't last long if it's not making a profit. This is something Mary and I talked about, and we came to realize unless we have people to make a profit out of their business, then you're not really helping. You're just planting trees and you're playing at it and you're spending your own money to get
Yeah.
profit. So how do you tell us about how you manage your business from a business standpoint, from keeping track of your accounts, all of that?
Okay. I invested in an accounting system like the Sage. Now I do not know much about the accounting aspect of it, but I have two daughters who does that. So they install it. Whatever I sell, I take a note. Whatever I make, I take a note. I give it to them. They put it into the system, and at the end of the day, I know. For example, I have an order here for some products, some flower products as well as teas. I do make some herbal teas as well. So I put it in the system. It gives everything. Everything is already in there. The inventory is already there. So I put it in the system. How many teas? How many waffle mix and etc. And then I print up the two pages. They deliver it for me, stamp and sign, and bring one back for me. Then when they sometimes they don't pay right away. So when they pay, I put it like it's paid. So at the end of the month, we know what is happening, what is not happening, and but my daughter is doing all that. I and at the moment we invest it to keep it going because the demand is there. Keep it until I get my production space to make it more official. I reinvest it by make sure I have packages, the labels, the supplies to make sure that keep going because it's a demand and it's successful, so to speak. So I
Your
have to keep it.
yeah,
Yeah.
your packaging is beautiful. I mean, we've seen some of it on the video. We had a little trouble with the video, but we got it going. And then, how did you get your packaging designed?
The label, my daughter does the label. One of them does the label. My other daughter, the last one, she's the master with the package because she makes sure she choose the package, and I cannot use the package for the tea and put the waffle mix, fish cake mix in that. So she's specific on that. Mommy, you don't do that. That one is for the packaging for the waffle mix. That one is for the fish cake. That one is for the tea. So, but before she does that, she makes sure she calculates every little cent, and that's not profitable, that's not profitable, and that's profitable. So I cannot mix my packages. I have to make sure use the precise package for the product.
And you have to get
So
it right, right?
yeah,
You can't put too
I
much.
have. If I don't get it right, I'm in trouble.
You need another daughter for that, right? So your
Yeah.
daughters are being very helpful. So,
Yes.
Andrina, this is very, very interesting, very helpful. You're generously sharing a lot of information with us. And then there's other folks on the line here listening in, and some of them might be interested in starting a business of their own like this. In fact, that's what we want to see. A lot of small businesses, eventually, maybe they'll be big businesses, right? And so some of these ideas we love to share. That's one of the things Mary and I and Natasha we love to do is to share knowledge, not to keep it a secret. Everybody is going to be helped by this. If there's more people producing breadfruit products, it's not either or. It's not a zero-sum game. There will be more market interest in more products. So we want you to be successful, and we want other people to be successful. So that's why we're sharing information.
I
What
agree to that.
what advice would you give to somebody that would want to emulate, to copy what you have done, to start up a business and become successful?
I would say that first and foremost, the person has to use their own resources, use what we have. Don't what's available at the moment. Because, for example, I remember one time in 1997, I was supposed to do a surgery, major surgery, and the day the week I was supposed to do the surgery, I happened to pass in a village and I saw a herbal doctor on the door. So I went inside there and I asked him questions. Anyway, to fast forward, he assisted. He told me if I have time, he can see me now before his other clients because he have appointments. I said, okay, fine. And then he put me on a diet, 3 stages, and he tell me, make sure I use what I do not buy nothing in the supermarket. Do not buy no, even for my face, my skin was a mess as well. He made not buy no products, not buy, just use what I have. If I have to go to use local food, go in the provision markets and buy what's there. If I have a backyard garden, make sure I go in my backyard, but use what I have. It was torture. Trust me, it was torture. But after the following year, when I went back to the doctor to make sure a general checkup, because every year I do that, it there was the same fibroids and cysts I was supposed to do the surgery for. it was it disappeared, and the doctor couldn't find it. Another doctor that I went to, they couldn't find it. So they asked me, what was I using? Why, how it, first they said that I don't have nothing. I said, yes, it was there because, and the good thing I had the film and it was proven that it was there. Now there's nothing. So if you start with what you have in your backyard, let's say you have a banana, for example, and the banana, you don't have time to eat all the banana, start from there. You can make one, you can make if it's ripe, you can make an ice cream. For example, I had a banana, ripe banana. I just peel it and put it in the dehydrator, and that sold out like crazy, like a snack. So you start somewhere, whatever you have, make use of it. Then you can sell $10, $5, and that's you reinvest until it can be big. Because there's enough breadfruit around that is being spoiled, enough that everybody can use. I alone cannot use all of it, but everyone who have access to it, if you don't have a tree, you go and purchase a bag at a reasonable price. There's a cost into everything to see how can you profit from that. And when you do, who knows? You can have a big factory, breadfruit factory.
Yes. You mentioned price. I mean, do you have trouble competing with processed foods, the other flowers that are in the supermarket? I mean, you seem to have a lot of demand. So your
Yeah,
price.
but as I said, I cannot respond to them as yet.
Mhm.
But I'm getting there slowly. Yeah. And there's competition. There is competition, but I don't worry about the competition. I focus on getting, looking ahead because everyone has to do something to survive. Everybody need a job. Everybody have their own markets as well. So I don't focus on the competition.
You get any help? You get any support from the government?
Partially. But to be honest, my biggest help, which I really appreciate, has pushed me forward, is the Trees That Feed Foundation. I mean, which is abroad, and they have helped me more than you know. Honestly, I have to say that.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. My wife Mary is very active in that space. She helps a lot of people, and someone like yourself, you have helped yourself tremendously as well. And so we just love to see entrepreneurs like yourself. A lot of times we donate trees to nonprofit groups or schools or something, and sometimes they just don't have the passion that the entrepreneur has. The entrepreneur wants to make money, so they're trying to do everything right. So I'm very proud of what you have done, very admiring of what you have done. You have one more story you want to share, and then if you have one more favorite story, everybody has stories that they like. I have a few, but I'll be quiet. If you have one last story, then we're going to open it up, and other people will allow you, to jump in, ask a couple questions, and we'll all try to share as much information with each other as we can. What do you think, Andrina?
Yeah, well, for now they can ask questions because yeah, they can ask questions. As I said, what they have to, if you, there is the opportunity. The opportunity is there to start, as I said, to start where you are. And I think breadfruit is a great product because if you look behind, like I have a breadfruit tree behind my house there, no matter how strong the wind comes, it will not fall down. It's to stand still, you know. So I always have food. So breadfruit is an amazing product, and in history and the news as well has been promoting the breadfruit, the sustainability of breadfruit tree. So if not everybody, but whoever has the passion and who is willing to do something um, to preserve the breadfruit in every way, we can go a long way with that. Because you can do flour, you can do there's cakes, you can do um, snacks with it. Because I have a sweet tooth, I love sweet things. So you can even the ripe one, you can use it and make some snack with it. Create something, just create, because while I will say create, why I say create is because, for example, I started with waffles and the flour. That was it. And then when we went to the market, I tell my sister, can you try the flour for me? Try one with breadfruit alone to make the fish cake, and try one with the reduced gluten, add the gluten flour in it, and tell me which one that came out best. And apparently she said the pure breadfruit flour was the best, and it don't absorb much oil. It does not absorb oil. So the second day we went to the farmer's market and she started selling the breadfruit fish cake. People line up like paying the fish cake before it's in the pot. You know? So and until today, that's how it is. In the video, you see she by the pot, staying her people line up there waiting for that. Yeah, so it's very, and it's gluten free. If the person does not eat, the person is vegan, they can finely chop vegetables and put it in it and make it a vegan product. So when they want to go with it, they cannot go with it. So that's how I created the dry mix. The waffles, people come on the cruise ship, they came in the yard, they want to go with the waffles, but I cannot allow them because it has to be frozen. So now help me to create the dry waffle mix. My granddaughter, all my grandchildren, I have 5 grandchildren, and each and every one of them has a problem with lactose. So this last one, I tell the mother, do not give her the baby formula. Don't. So I make the macabo flour, the breadfruit flour, whichever flour I make, and I tell her make the porridge with it. And that's how it is. So then it helped me to create the baby food and even the adults. There was my last daughter grandmother was sick. She loved breadfruit. She was being fed fruit tubes. And every day they feeding her, she was like, oh, me, you see in that tube, give my breadfruit and my dashing and my provisions to eat. She calling them. That same breadfruit porridge, it can be done in it's a liquid form and put through the same tube, and she eating her breadfruit. It's added nutrition. I use the pigeon peas. I use the potato, which is high in protein. I add other ingredients to have a complete, balanced, nutritious porridge, and then she eating the same thing. So you just have to be creative. That's the important thing. Creative.
Excellent. Creative. Well, breadfruit is good for roasting on a fire in the backyard. We all grew up having it that way.
Yep.
And there's
I had it till now.
ways to do it. We're not going to stop you doing that, but there's all these. We have over 50 participants, and these are people from the Caribbean, and people from the Caribbean like to talk. So what we're going to do is open up the floor for questions, and so just hold up your hand. Everybody's on mute at the moment, but you can unmute yourself if you want to talk. So not everybody speak at once, but we have a little time left over. Andrina has been very generous with the information shared, but let's just open it up and see if anyone has questions, comments. I saw a few questions coming in through the chat, so I know that there's quite a bit of interest out there. I know Errington is out there. He's a gentleman.
Hey, Mike.
Or who? Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's Talia.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
Talia, you're muted.
Muted. Unmute.
Hold on. Hear me better?
Yes, we're hearing you now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm not finding the option to click on the chat. One of the things I wanted to ask was very specifically, I know you mentioned, the infrastructure in terms of equipment and machinery that you need to have access to or support for in terms of, being able to ramp up production to meet the demand that you are now able to attract people paying attention to the product. And I know you said it in terms of the production space as well as, the equipment itself, but is it that you also need access to the capital to do it? And do you have access to finance in St. Lucia, is it something that, is there any loan structures and opportunities for entrepreneurs to access low interest loans? And because I see this happening all across the Caribbean. We have great products being produced and entrepreneurship happening, but just the scale and the access to finance seems to be a limiting factor. So that's the question I want to ask.
Andrina, you have to unmute yourself. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, that's she has a good point there. The everything is like, for me, I just roll over. You know, I roll over when as I said before, when I sell the products, I make sure I have everything right there. But the dehydrator, I had it before I came down. After I did the program and during the COVID, I bought a dehydrator, a small one. But it has been very helpful because that's where, and everything I try is with my own cash. I when I work, I put something what I can, and when I sell, I just try to keep it going until I am able to be strong on my feet, so that I can respond to the demands that I'm getting.
We have quite a few questions. Let's go to Raquel next.
Thank you.
Good, thank you. Raquel?
There is brand finance.
Raquel is holding her hand up.
Yes, it's I'm with Raquel. Raquel is in Puerto Rico with us.
Okay.
So hello, everybody. We're from Puerto Rico. Thank you, Andrina. Very, very nice what you're doing. We have a couple of things in common. We're also doing flowers here in Puerto Rico, a breadfruit pancake and waffle mix, and also an all-purpose mix. So we know all that it takes in doing so. And my question was, do you have formal crops of breadfruit in the island of St. Lucia?
Do we have what? The farms?
Do you have formal farms of breadfruit, or it's just growing wildly in different houses?
Yeah, it's just growing wild. No farms, no specific farms of breadfruit in St. Lucia, no. But some people have it in their backyard. Like I have two in my backyard, and I have some small trees I nurturing to grow bigger. And most people, they just have trees everywhere you pass on the island. There are trees, but not to say a farm, a breadfruit farm. We don't have that here as yet.
It was the same in Puerto Rico, just so you know. But like maybe 10 years ago, some farmers had interested in breadfruit, saw the potential, and began to grow breadfruit with other crops like coffee. So right now, maybe we have like 120, 25 acres in the entire island where they grow breadfruit with other things. For example, we have cocoa, we have coffee, we have plantain, bananas, but it's mainly a breadfruit farm in the highlands of the island.
Well, when I will have my little factory, I will be able to purchase up maybe a 1 or 2 acres for starters and plant a farm. That's my aim.
Let's go to the next question, if we could. Thank you for the question, Risha. And then we have a couple more that we're coming to very quickly. Risha, if you unmute, we can hear you. And then
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your presentation, Andrina. I have 2 questions. One, I'm curious with regards to your market research, if indeed you did, especially for the first product. Was it that you did a market research, or you saw certain items on the shelf and you decided to do an alternative? And then another question is with regards to, someone starting up, because you mentioned your factory, and not everybody can start a factory, unless they have financial backing. But with regards to what will be a decent size, or let's say number of products to start with, that you could say is manageable? Thank you.
You can start with 1 product. You start, just like I decided with one product. But as I said, because the herbs and the other peppers were available in the yard, and it was too much to have there, I just tried everything because I had nothing to do. I wasn't able to work at that time due to my surgery. So you can start with one product, and then, as I said, one will that you listen to the demands, because while doing the waffles, I realized people want to go with the waffles, but I could not allow that. So I had to make the dry mix, and it has been selling very well. With the fish cake, the same thing. They only eat it at the market. So some people want to go home with to try it at home, and so I created the dry mix. You know, so it's you just start somewhere, and then you listen to the demands, and the market research mainly comes from the markets where the farmers market which I attend. That's where it really came from. So when I see that the demand is just like people been asking and requesting, and then it goes up from there. For the baby food, it the demand from my granddaughter, it came from my granddaughter, and then the elderly were sick, and that's how it rolls over.
Very
And
good.
the important to remain healthy, you have your local food, you know what you're eating. Like the baby food, for example, baby formula, you would not know what's there, what's in it. But with the local baby formula, you know exactly what's in there.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. Good question, Risha. Good answer, Andrina. Next question I have in line is Laura Roberts and Kruma. Dr. Laura, if you unmute, we can all hear you. So we need you to unmute. And while we're working on that, let's go to Professor Don Major. Professor, unmute and then we can hear you.
Good evening. Thank you very much.
Go ahead.
Thank you for putting on this seminar workshop. I want to commend Andrina for what she's doing. I have two concerns. Can you hear me?
Sure, yes, go ahead.
Okay. One is that you're doing what we call bootstrapping, I guess, doing it all by yourself. And I worked for many years with an agency who was tasked with assisting entrepreneurs and farmers in developing their products, developing their business. So I'm wondering, one, if you have in St. Lucia any kind of government agency or quasi-government agency that provides assistance to people like you, helping you, for example, to source materials, to source funding, to source supplies, to develop your business further. For example, getting financing from agencies like the OAS or the UN or the CDB and that sort of thing. And the second point is your baby formula sounds like a winner if you can really get that going, because there's a big problem with lactose intolerance. A lot of people are concerned about feeding their babies formula that is has a lot of unidentifiable or harmful substances in it. Sounds like you have a possible winner there, and I wonder if you have any plan toward developing that further, because I believe that would be a Caribbean-wide, developing country-wide demand for that particular product if you can get it going. And I'll stop there.
Okay, for the baby food, my tiny tummy, I was not even prepared to mention that it just came up, because that's one of the products I don't really advertise. I don't put it out yet. Yeah, because I know it's a good product, and I know the effect I've had on my granddaughter. And again, she's the face of the product, and I see the potential of it. So I try to take it slow on it, But the agencies, they do have financing agencies, but to tap into them, it's a little, complicated. But my daughter, she's handling everything, because I'm more in the production area. That's my strength. But she helps with everything else.
I'll jump in and help to answer a little bit, Professor. One of the things that Trees That Feed does is we help to the best of our budget and ability with equipment. So while we help with trees, so we donate trees of the best varieties to the best of our ability. We subsidize or donate equipment to entrepreneurs, the folks that we think have the passion, the energy, the resources to be successful. We buy their products for a short period of time so that they have a guaranteed customer. And so that
must go in the bag out the stuff.
takes a lot of the risk.
The bag face.
Takes a lot of the risk out of starting a new business. And so we're not as big as a government, of course, but that has helped a number of entrepreneurs. What is also happening is that the work that we're doing has come to the attention of some of the Caribbean governments. So we're now working with governments in a few countries that see the importance of food security. So it's starting to move along quite well. I'm going to give Dr. Robertson-Krumer a chance to talk. She had her hand up for a little while there. Dr. Robertson-Krumer, can you hear us? And if not, we do have a question, a hand raised from Nikisha Alexander. Nikisha, if you unmute, then we can all hear your question.
Hello, good evening. Nikisha Alexander here from the island of Grenada, the Spice Island of Grenada. I have a question regarding equipment. I am very much impressed with the operation in St. Lucia. Andrina is your name. Yes, and all the products that you do. I am surprised also that you're able to work because you say you're going to work, and be able to do all of this. But my question is regarding the equipment. So you said you have the dehydrator, the solar dehydrator, and also you have a small electric dehydrator. So after you have dehydrated the breadfruit, do you how do you have a mill? You have you bring it to another location to get it grounded up? And also, do you use the skin in the breadfruit or it's peel, the skin and the gut?
Yeah, for now, I just peel it. I remove very little out of the guts. If I'm cooking it for me to eat, I will remove most of the guts. But in peeling it, in dehydrating it, I peel it and I remove parts, the very small part of the guts. After I dehydrate it, what I do, I will grind it. I used to have a blender before. I have a blender. I used to blend it and I strain it through a flour sifter. That's a lot of work, but I said patience, and you need to love to do what you need to have a passion for it, so to speak. So I will sit down and blend and strain maybe a 5 gallons bucket. And that's a lot of flour. That's a lot of breadfruit, because when you have, let's say, for example, 4 pounds of breadfruit, sometimes you hardly, maybe you get a pound. So, that's a lot of work, but it's okay. In terms of but what I will do now, I used to bag them because I used to strain it and leave it there, or just try to use it at once. But Mary asked me she tell me to dry it and put it in a bag, label it, and leave it there. So that's why I end up saving out of breadfruit, and I had enough to supply the demands I have for now, because that was very interesting. But right now, I need to blend it and put it in a bucket, and then before I use it, depending on the limits I have, I put it back in the dryer for a period of time, maybe 5-6 hours, and then just to keep the moisture out, and then use it to do what I have to do. If it's to the waffle, the pre-cooked waffle, I don't have to do that. But if it's like the dry mix for a longer shelf life, I always like to put it back into the dryer and allow it to get maybe a couple hours, 6-7 hours, and then process it, bag it, prepare it and bag it. Yeah.
Thank you.
So
Good question, good answer. Dr. Laura is having trouble with her mic, but her question, she sent a question through the chat, is whether competition from fresh breadfruit exporters is a limitation. Is that, a source of competition? And also a similar question to what came before, how much waste is involved when you're processing the fruit? But competition from exporters?
well, the waste, I don't get much waste because I use the skin. I put it to compost in a bin or in a hole behind the house to compost. This is one of my next investment is to get a composting bin. So, because a lot of best people going to waste. One time somebody had to come like every week and get twice a week, sometimes to get breadfruit skin to give his pig because I had so much of it. So pretty much nothing going to waste.
One last question. We have time for maybe one or two more quick ones. What goes with what complements the waffles? In the States here, my lovely wife Mary makes breadfruit pancakes for me sometimes, and we put maple syrup on it. But what do people do with the waffles? How do they serve them?
You can serve waffle with anything. You can serve it with your, let's say, breakfast. You serve it with a nice jam or a nice syrup because sometimes I make a passion fruit syrup because I have passion fruit in the backyard, or a guava syrup or a golden apple syrup, and use that with the waffles and the pancake as well. Or for lunch, if you want to put it for lunch, you can use a nice fish, make a veggie, because there were times I was making gluten-free products lunch for an individual, and I used to use the dashing leaves or the spinach and make a nice callaloo with it and put it by the waffle in the plate, and he used to enjoy it all the time. So you can use if you want to eat first chicken, you whatever you want, because it's a heavy meal. Breadfruit is heavy. Any of the provisions for the waffle is heavy. So you have that, you have a full meal. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. This is just super good information. One of the questions that we got is when is our next master class? So I take that as a big compliment because it means that you're enjoying it. So we will definitely be doing that again very shortly. Mary, you wanted to talk? You wanted to wrap up with a few words?
Sure. I will wrap up. Can you hear me?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yes, I will wrap up, and I want to say I was so nervous to do this. And Andrina and I have been working together, and we have done this. And what I was so proud of is that Andrina sent her voice notes, and I was able to cobble together a video just to tell her story. And I think this is what we want to do with our next masterclass, is we want to get some background information on the person so people know what they're coming into. It's not coming in blind. Do you want to learn from this person? Then join the conversation and you can learn more. So I think you have all found it interesting. I have found it has exceeded my expectations. But of course, I knew we had a superstar with Andrina. I have seen what she's been able to accomplish. So I would like to invite Marisol of Puerto Rico to be the next masterclass because she makes amazing breadfruit products. Mike, if you will hold it up. She is in supermarkets in the States, and she can show the other extent how to export, how to make this. So Marisol, Jesus, and Raquel, I hope that you would agree to do the next masterclass. And you can tell us about all of the challenges of exporting. Puerto Rico has a lot of breadfruit trees. And they grow breadfruit trees at very high elevation, which you don't see in Jamaica. And they have a absolutely state-of-the-art factory. I would eat off the floor of their factory. It is pristine. They come out of the biochemical industry, they've come out of pharmaceuticals, and their breadfruit products are amazing. So that will be showing what is the potential for the future. So I hope you have all enjoyed it. Let me know if you think we should change anything. We are here to serve you. So you let us know how we can make this better next time. If we have your names, we will invite you. We'll try not to nag with too many emails, but we would certainly like to do this again. So thank you all. We are living in a time in history where it's very difficult, and we all have to get together to make it a better place. So thank you. We will go from group to group to see how we can improve breadfruit. Now, I see, and we would like to have Arrington have a few words. I'd like to do that. And I see that we have Jean-Marie from Haiti, and he actually came with his team. We went to Jamaica last year because the United Nations is doing a huge feeding program in Haiti with breadfruit flour. So he can be one of our speakers for another mastermind to talk about Haiti and using breadfruit flour to feed their people. So we have so much success, and we want to share that knowledge with you all. So Arrington, why don't you jump in? And Mike and I are going to have to cut off soon. Maybe Natasha can finish up. I just got a text. We have a young cousin in Chicago who has been in a car accident, so we have to head to the hospital. So maybe Natasha can finish up if Mike and I have to go. And Arrington, why don't you say a few words?
Thank you, Mary. I'm going to be very brief. Congratulations on a very successful first masterclass. And thank you very much, Ms. Valcent. You were absolutely wonderful. It's like you are just a natural at this. But we look forward to working with you in St. Lucia. Of course, you've been in touch with Kevin. And so whatever he can do to help you, he will do. We are so appreciative of working with Trees That Feed, because we're trying to plant 2 million trees across the Caribbean. And we'd like to invite other people to be a part of that. My email address is in the chat. So if you want to know something about that, just email me and we can move forward to working together. But Mary, just to close, thank you very much for all that you do for us. And we appreciate you. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much. Thanks to Andrina. Thanks to everybody that participated. We told you we'd spend an hour, so we went a little bit over, but not too much. And as Mary said, we have to rush off a little bit here. But thanks, everybody. Mary, anything else?
No, Dr. Laura, are you able to speak at all? It'd be nice if we could hear your voice.
Her microphone was giving trouble.
And Marisol, can you tell us if you would agree to do the next mastermind?
Yes, of course, it would be our pleasure to share some of the things we've been doing. So yes, thank you. And bravo, this was amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. We'll say bye-bye until next time. Thanks again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night. Good night. Thank
Bye-bye.
you so much, Mike and Mary.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
you.
Happy to do it. Very happy. Very good. Thank you, Andrina. Thank you, Mary, for the videography. That was excellent.
When I started drinking warm water to help me lose weight, my friends laughed at me. But when
Okay.
Technical